Hey guys, what is up? So today we are going to be reacting to do all asexuals think the same? It's going to be it's going to be more informative, and I am also on the A spectrum, and so if I feel like I need to chime in, I will. I'm going to answer these questions before them, and then we're going to listen to what they have to say, and if I feel like I should chime in on something, then I will. It's very important to get ace representation out there because there's not any really much information out there about it. And so, yeah. So if you're watching this video, please do like, subscribe, comment, all that fun jazz. And I hope you do enjoy the video. Yeah, let's get into it.
There's been times where I tried dating people because everyone is doing it, but I was always upfront, like, hey, I'm asexual, this might not be your thing, you know? And then they're like, no, I totally understand. 3 months later, they're having a tantrum because you won't kiss them.
Even though I'm asexual, I still experience attraction. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so here I would have to put myself probably somewhat agree, just because there's different kinds of attraction. Like, if you don't know what asexuality is, it's where you don't have any desires or find anyone sexually attractive. That's what that is. And so there's different kinds of attraction, and so there's romantic attraction, and there's just other kinds of attraction. And so think someone looks attractive, so that's an attraction, but you don't want to date them or whatever, you know? I can appreciate someone's appearance, but it doesn't mean I want to fuck them. So there's that. So I would say somewhat agree, just because I mean, I dated one person.
Wait, no, I did it wrong. I'm sorry. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the class. There have been times in my life where I've been is this attraction or is something happening here? But for the most part, I have just been no, that person is nice looking, but I don't feel any sort of thing.
Asexuality.
That's true. I feel like I'm I'm very, very with Sarah on that. I mean, yeah, you can I don't know. You can find someone attractive, but you don't have to have an attraction to them, I guess. So I don't know. I guess I would put myself at disagree. I changed my position.
It really is a large spectrum. Under the spectrum, I fall under demisexual, which basically means that I need a strong emotional bond with someone before I could feel any type of sexual attraction.
I can look at someone and say, this person is really attractive, but
True.
you know, I don't have sexual attraction, or
also
I want
true.
to date this person.
Also true.
Different forms of attraction. I can be attracted to aesthetics, but I don't really have a romantic attraction.
Also true.
I masturbate on a regular basis.
Strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. In my opinion about this, it's to me, I feel like people do that to get an urge out, and for me, I don't have any urges at all. It's not even a thought. Whereas some asexuals may have a little urge here or there, and so it's an annoyance or whatever. For me, it's not there at all. Not there. I would rather be doing this, making videos or streaming or editing or watching movies, playing video games, eating. There's just a lot of other things I'd rather do. And plus, if I don't have any urges, then why would I, you know? So
3, 2, 1, go.
Strongly disagree.
Let's see here.
I mean, I guess I'll go first. The way that I've been able to find a lot of people like in the ace community is through the kink community. And so usually when I am masturbating, it's things kink related. And so yeah, I do masturbate on a regular basis, but it's never in the sense that I'm like craving sex or want sex or even find sex attractive.
I don't feel
Interesting.
like horny often.
Interesting. That's really, really interesting because in my eyes, I feel like people do that because they are craving it, and so they need to like get that urge out. So it's very interesting.
So like when it does happen, I was like, okay. I think it's scientifically. It's just like I just need to relieve myself.
Gotta do something about it.
Yeah, do something about it.
Yeah. It just seems so time consuming to do regularly. Like, I mean, I got TV shows I could watch.
True.
I don't know.
I just feel
Yes,
like there's no
Sarah.
need for it, you know? I'm really content with myself. Like, if I have an urge, I can eat.
Personally, like when I get an urge, it's more of an annoyance for me.
Asexual people,
Yeah.
like, just because they don't experience attraction doesn't mean that they don't have any libido at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, like,
I have 0. Just putting that out there. I agree. I understand what she's saying. Like, because asexuality is very much like the desire or whatever, but like you can still have like those like, or like finding people like sexually attractive. Like you don't find people sexually attractive, but you could still have like libido or whatever. But I don't.
you still might feel the need for that sometimes, but like, I feel like for a lot of aces, it's just like, oh, this again?
It's kind of like detached. It kind of is like a chore that you're all right with doing, but there's not really much of a payoff for getting it done.
I'm curious to hear like your guys' thoughts on like someone like me who's on the opposite side of the spectrum. Like how do you view that as an ace?
Well, I mean, high libido doesn't mean attraction.
True.
They're completely different things.
Like, I don't get it, but I respect it.
I don't get it as well, but I also respect it.
I find sex repulsive.
Strongly agree. Strongly agree. Those guys who know me and who don't, you're gonna know now, but like, very, very repulsive. Like, it makes me uncomfortable. Even sexual jokes make me uncomfortable. Body parts at some points make me uncomfortable because of what people do with them. And so I don't judge anybody, but to me it makes me personally uncomfortable because I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't have those feelings to understand it, to get it. So it just overall makes me uncomfortable. So it's like very repulsive to me. Yeah. All right. So future Sam here from the editing world. As you can see, it's dark outside now. However, I'm editing this video and I just realized I wanted to add in that just because like sexual jokes make me uncomfortable, it doesn't have anything to do with maturity. That has nothing to do with it at all. I just want to point that out there because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, you can't handle like sexual jokes. That means you're like not mature enough to handle it. And it's like, no, that has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it at all. So I just wanted to throw that out there, or throw that out there. All right, back to the
Three,
Let's see what they have to say.
1, go.
For me,
And this is also like, this is like perfect, this video too, because it like shows how the spectrum is. Because like you would think, oh, well, they're ace, all of them would be like agree to this question, but there's some people on disagree. So like it definitely shows like the spectrum, you know?
at least it's just like there's always a bunch of other ways of attraction because like at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be sexual in nature. You can find it with like other things, whether it's aesthetic or otherwise.
Like I'm in like the gray spectrum of it, of like asexuality. So like there are days where there are days I feel it. There are like times where I do, there's times I don't.
Some people communicate through sex. Like, that's their way of showing their emotion. And though it may not be for
I also like I don't know how many asexuals actually feel this way. It would be interesting to know. Like there will be days I wake up and I just feel uncomfortable with the world because I think about how overly like sexualized the world is and how like I kind of feel like I don't fit in or like there's no place for me really. But I feel like love is between like two people that have a strong bond. Sex does not need to be a part of that, in my opinion. Like, you don't need to get physical to prove your love for somebody. Like, it just, to me, yeah, like, yeah. It's just an activity that personally makes me very, very uncomfortable.
me, it just depends on who the person is. Because you're supposed to be able to trust that person as well. So if you don't trust them, like, what good is that going to do for you?
Yeah.
You know?
And I really do feel
But you also don't need to get physical to trust that person. You could trust them without going that far, in my opinion.
like sex, for me, as a demisexual, it's like if we're not connected on an emotional or intellectual level, I just don't want it.
I'm not repulsed by other people doing it. Like anyone can do what they want, obviously. It's not something I can see myself participating in.
Same.
Asexuality is purely about the attraction and not about.
And the thing is too, though, like a lot of asexuals, if they get into a relationship with someone that's not ace, they feel pressured to do said activity because they want to make their partner happy. They want to make them feel loved and appreciated and not regret like trying a relationship with them. So they will do said activity, even if it makes them uncomfortable, to please their partner. And that just shouldn't be it at all. Like if you are upfront with the person you might date or whatever, that you're ace and they're okay with it or they say they're okay with it, they need to be okay with it and understand that you don't want any part of that. And that's okay for you and they should be okay with that too. And if they're not okay with that, then that's also their call, but they should also make that call like more early on instead of making things more complicated, you know?
Out the action. You know, you can not experience that attraction and still be like, oh, this feels nice. To me, like, sex is like an activity that you do in the same way that you can like hug someone or shake their hand. Like, for me, it doesn't have like some other level or like the level that society wants to tell you that is inherent to sex. Like, I'm just like, no, it's an activity that you do with one or more other people. Like, that's
True.
all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
I am a virgin. 3, 2, 1, go.
It's kind of what I expected.
For me, like sex isn't like, people always talk about it and then it's just like, well, that's not really attractive to me, and I have a supportive friend group, I have hobbies I can do, and it's like, I'd rather find my time doing something else.
There's been
True.
times where I tried dating people because everyone is doing it. But I was always upfront, like, hey, I'm asexual, this might not be your thing, you know? And then they're like,
As
no,
it
no,
should be.
I totally understand. 3 months later, they're having a tantrum because you won't kiss them.
I've been in a couple relationships before, both with men and a woman.
Sorry.
And so, yeah, I've had sex with both of my partners. So, yeah, I'm not a virgin.
When did you lose your virginity?
I lost my virginity when I was 15 or 16. What about you?
I was 17 when I lost mine, and it's not the greatest story. I was
Great.
coerced into having sex by my girlfriend at the time.
It's okay.
So I lost my virginity because if you loved me, then you'd have sex with me. And at the time I was like, okay, this is my first relationship, and I don't want to have sex with her, but I'm scared that she might break up with me because I don't want to have sex with her. So
Yeah, and that's a really strong thing. It's the one.
Don't do that. Like, it messes with. Okay, so when people do that, they think that, oh, like, they just don't know because they're not experienced, and they just don't know what they're missing. And it's like, you don't need to do some things to know, like, I've known all my life that I was asexual. I didn't know the term until I was like 19 or 20, I don't remember. And so when I found the term, I was like, holy chalupas, like, things make sense. But like, and I never dated to feel like I never dated to like feel like I had to, because that's what society says is normal or whatever. Like, I was fine being me, myself, and I dated one person, like I said, and yeah, just don't do that. It really messes with their thoughts. Whenever people are just like, oh, you gotta do this to prove that you love me, and like, if it's like their first relationship, they're gonna do like what makes them uncomfortable to make their partner happy, in fear of like their partner like ending up regretting starting a relationship with them, and then like them breaking up with them. And it's like, it's not right. It's really, really not right. And then at the same time, it's like, if things don't work out and the asexual was coerced into doing something they didn't want to do, it's going to really fuck with their head. It's going to really fuck with their head. They're going to end up getting traumatized, or like have flashbacks and get like just possibly. And then they're going to regret what they did, and wish that they didn't. And yeah, just don't do that. Don't do that. Before you get into a relationship with someone that's ace, make sure that you're actually okay with it.
And so, of course, you'd want to make sure you'd stay with them. I want to hug you.
I know. It's but like,
Me too. COVID.
I commend you for, having gone through that and being able to still, find yourself and be who you are today. And I want to hug you, but I don't know if I can.
Oh.
I mean, me personally, I've never experienced any of it. I don't wish that I could experience sex. There's moments where I wish I wasn't asexual.
Also same. Yeah, also same. There have been many moments where I have wished I wasn't asexual so I could fit in more. If you look up on Google, there's only like 1% of the population that is asexual, or at least 1% that knows the term and can identify with it. I feel like because there's not like representation of it, and like it's not really talked about, that there's a lot of people that could still fall under the ace spectrum that don't know what it is. And so they're still doing things that like seem normal or whatever. But yeah, there's definitely moments where I wish I wasn't ace either. It would be nice to like find a partnership so you don't feel like you're dealing with life by yourself. Like, you don't feel like you're in it by yourself and whatnot, because like when people get into relationships, they tend to forget about their friends a lot of times. And so when you're ace and you're not in those relationships, you tend to be the forgotten one. And so you tend to feel like you're dealing with life on your own, and that's just it would be nice. It would be very nice to feel like you're not dealing with life on your own. But at the same time, when you're ace and you don't have like those sexual attractions, and people feel like sex is like normal for a relationship, and like that's the norm. I don't know about like others, but like me, for example, I feel like I don't belong in a relationship because of that.
I'm just gonna start crying too. It's like, it's so ingrained in our society that you should have attraction, you should have a romantic attraction, you should have sexual attraction.
Right.
So a lot of us, if we don't have the word, we feel so broken until we find it. I was so lucky because I had a parent who knew what the word was. And like my mom actually said, maybe.
That's also really, really rare. That's really, really rare to have like someone in your corner that already knew what the word was. For me, for an example, I didn't know what the word was. I actually looked up different sexuality. Funny story. I'm actually in the process of writing a book about my experiences being ace. But anyways, the way I even found out about the word was the fact that like my brother kept making gay jokes, or like, when are you gonna get a girlfriend, or like just kept making gay jokes, and I was like, I'm not gay, like I don't like anybody, like, um, and so it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not straight, I'm not gay, I'm not bi. What am I? Like, I don't fit into anything. Like, I felt like I was like completely alone. That something was wrong with me, that I felt broken. And so one day I got tired of not knowing, so I looked up different sexualities, and ace came up, and I read about it, and I was like, holy shit. Things are so clear now. And so yeah, you do feel broken, and like something's wrong with you because this is the norm, and you're not it. You don't fit in with the norm.
Maybe you're asexual, you don't feel those things, and that's okay. But so many people don't have that word.
But there's also like it sucks. It really does suck. But at the same time, it's like you gotta love who you are. Like, you are who you are for a reason. I still wouldn't really change. Like, even though yes, I may have moments where I'm like, I wish I was an ace, I still wouldn't change it. I still wouldn't change who I am.
Word.
I feel invisible to the LGBTQ plus community. 3, 2, 1, go.
I would say agree. Just because even the LGBTQ community, like, even though yes, we are included in that, the A is in there somewhere. Even the LGBTQ community can be overly sexualized, and so it's like hard to add. It's hard to add the sexuality that is absent of that. So yeah, I would say that feel pretty invisible. Also feel pretty invisible because it's like people a lot of times are like, oh, you just haven't found the right person, or oh, like it's just a phase, and it's like, no, not how it works. I've been like this all my life, thank you. It's not celibacy. Celibacy is a choice, ace is not.
The LGBT community of itself is very sexualized. Like at Pride, it's very sexual. I think it's hard for them to include the sexuality that is absence of that. I've heard so many people say that asexuals don't get as oppressed as other people in the LGBT community, but that's not all that LGBT community is. It's not just whether you'd get oppressed or kicked out by your family. We're still experiencing things differently from the rest of the world, and it feels better to have a community of people.
For me, this question is a little
So true.
bit personal, because the closest thing was for me was my auntie, because my auntie is lesbian, and it comes to relation with family, like everyone accepts my auntie, but when it comes to me, it's just like, oh, you don't exist, you haven't tried it yet. It makes me feel a little bit empty, because like, you're my family, you're supposed to be, like, you're supposed to be with me, like you're supposed to be able to comfort me.
Pride is really sexualized, and like being sex positive and like encouraging people to have as much sex as they want also means that sometimes they don't want any. I've heard people say like what you experience is valid, but you're not queer enough to be in the community. And I'm like, then what is queer enough?
As someone who identifies as gay, I really did want to hear everything out that they were saying, because I
What is queer
completely
enough?
agree with everything that they just said. I do see more things on social media. Like, I was just on the LGBT website, and they list like a whole list of different ace identities. We are becoming a little bit more open-minded about it, but I don't want to give too much credit, because I 100% agree that we need a lot of work in the community.
The increased visibility is great, it's really good, but it also is driven by ace people and ace specs. And there's no one, at least there are fewer people in the broader queer community who are reaching out to us and being like, we want you involved.
I do know some people, like, they kind of just feel like they don't belong in the community, so they just stick to basically an ace community. And I mean, I don't know about you, but when I went to like meetups and stuff, I would ask if asexuals were welcome.
So I
That's
guess for the
sad.
community, it's definitely like the internet, because like I definitely remember
That's really, really sad to be like part of the LGBT community, and if they're having a meetup being like, by the way, are asexuals welcome? Like that's really, really sad.
watching like this show called like BoJack Horseman, and when I found out that like one of the main characters, Todd, was like an asexual himself, I was like, oh wow, here's like someone in actual media space that like I can actually relate to at the end of the day.
And he wasn't treated as like a fix-it case. That's like the biggest thing, is that if there's an asexual in media, they're just broken.
Speaking of like asexuals in media, though, it's like I'm gonna talk about Riverdale for a second, because I guess Jughead Jones in the Archie comics came off as like ace, because I guess he would make, I never read the Archie comics, but I guess he would make comments like, I'd rather have a burger than a girlfriend, or like whatever, and that's a very like ace thing to say. With Riverdale, they didn't go that route. Even Cole Sprouse himself said that they kind of wished they took Jughead that way, but they didn't. And I think a big part of that is because they didn't know how to. Like, a lot of people don't understand how to represent asexual characters correctly, and so they just don't. And so there's not really much representation out there.
Yeah, we really find community through the internet. I've not been with this many aspecs ever in my life.
I am still
True.
exploring my sexuality.
No.
3, 2, 1, go.
This one, I feel like I strongly disagree, just because, like I said, like all my life, I've kind of already known who I am. And it just made sense. Like, I never acted like something I wasn't to try to fit in. I always kind of knew who I was, and then I finally found the word for it. So I've kind of always known. So I would say no, I'm not really. I mean, yeah, I'm young still, but like, no, I'm not.
I used to identify as demi, and then I went to ace, like gray ace. So like I'm still at like, is this correctly what I identify as?
I am still unsure of myself. Like, I don't know what my own feelings are half the time, and I am still young. So I'm trying to be okay with not really knowing some things about myself, at least for now.
I think I have it pretty down pat. And I think that's one of the misconceptions about the ace community, is that people will approach you and will think that you're not experienced, or you don't know what you're looking for, or you're too young and you'll figure it out.
Isn't that what I just said? Not that long ago.
And that's very wrong, especially in my case. Like, I feel like I'm really well experienced, and I do know what I like and I do know what I don't like. But at the same time, I think that there is still some exploring that I am doing.
Like, for me, it's like I'm in the disagree section because like I feel I'm pretty solid in my identity. There are times where I'm like, was that attraction? What was that? But like, it doesn't matter what it was. Like, it's not gonna change my behavior.
I feel like at this
Same.
point, I already know what I want.
True.
And I'm so over like other people judging me for it, you know.
Also
I'm
same.
just gonna stay here.
The worst thing to do, asexual is a spectrum, right? The worst thing to do, and I mean the worst thing to do, is call someone a fake ace. Worst thing. Because like I said, asexual is a spectrum. Just because someone may date someone that is not ace does not mean they're faking being ace.
Here in my little bubble, I'm comfortable being right here, you know.
I've had the term.
And not only that, like finally being able to tell yourself, oh, this is who I am. Like, I finally have a word for me now. Like, I finally get it. I know where I fit in. and then like finally like having that confidence and knowing, and then having people call you fake for it, it's like it's honestly the worst thing ever.
Since I was like 10, I'm sure my mom probably thought I would grow out of it. I'm sure she thought I was a late bloomer or something. But like as I got older, it's just like it just kept fitting.
I had a
True.
experience where I found the term when I was 11, 12. So when I
Lucky.
first heard that, when I first found out about what even sexuality is, I found asexual and I was like, okay, I'm asexual. But then when I got to high school, I was like, you can be straight or something. Like everyone else around you is straight.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, no, maybe I'm gay because I'm not straight. And then I got to college. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm bi. Maybe,
Yeah, I like
maybe
them
I'm
both
something.
the same.
I like them both.
Only like in the last couple months, was I was like, I finally went back to asexual. It's a broad label, and I can be comfortable being under that umbrella.
It's an N.
Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And honestly, like I'm very comfortable being under that umbrella as well. However, it's like also one of those things where it's like don't make someone feel uncomfortable because they're ace, you know? But anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, make sure to comment them down below. I will respond to as many as I can. Most likely all of them because I like responding to comments. What can I say? You can catch me on Twitch. You can join the Discord. Follow me on all the social medias. And I'll see you guys next time.